You fat ass.
Sweat Equity Podcast. Jared Waters, our guest, flexing. If you're watching on video, you know how to talk into a mic? You done stand
Still
up?
some muscle in there.
Stand-up comedian,
Still some muscle in there.
future podcaster,
There we go.
former backup to running back Chris Johnson
That's a lie. No.
at East Carolina University.
What's the truth?
I wasn't.
He told me that.
I walked on, but I walked on as like a corner. So I
You
think,
told me.
like,
You told me you were.
I said his locker was right next to mine.
No, I said you were running back, and you said yeah.
In high school, I was a running back in high school.
Okay.
And when I went to ECU, I walked on the spring ball.
Let's put it this way: it's ECU.
Yeah.
Chris Johnson goes down.
I remember his
You're
locker
gonna
was
be a
next to mine.
backup because they're gonna be like,
You talked to him.
They're gonna look around the locker room like,
You
we
knew
got to
him?
get a black
Yeah.
guy in there.
Yeah, I don't know where he is now. I don't even think he's in the league.
He's out. He's done.
Yeah, there'll probably be a story. I bet probably late August where he'll get a.
No, I
He'll
think
get a
Arizona.
look.
That was his last run. He had a really good season. Then he welcomed
No.
Adrian Peterson to the team,
So,
and AP took his spot.
so someone will tear their ACL in training camp and he'll get a look. I bet, but that'll be about it.
I actually
He's-
don't know. He might be with
35,
Arizona.
35. Yeah,
I don't know.
35.
Yeah,
I think
probably.
he might be 35 years
I
old.
say that I always forget. Like 35 in NFL is
That's old.
87.
You're old too, dude.
I know. Well, I'm like I'm
forget
34. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I'm 34, and I'm like, oh yeah,
He's my age. What's the big deal?
yeah.
NFL life, yeah. 35, yeah.
So you're back from New York. You're
Back-
in town right now.
I'm in
doing
town right
stand
now.
up
Yes,
at the club up north.
Side Splitters Comedy Club. That's where I'll be.
You don't have to plug them. It's all right. This isn't going live. So
Oh.
we were trying to go live, and then we're dumb.
Mevo sucks, is what happened.
This Mevo camera we love, it auto directs.
No,
for
we
you.
don't.
Fuck
the Mevo.
It's a love hate. It's cool for the price, but we mess up the settings of some sort.
We don't do anything wrong.
I
All
blame
right.
us.
No.
I internalize first
No.
because I'm a football player.
I do too. Yes.
It's your fault.
But in this case, it shouldn't be this hard.
The team didn't fumble the ball. You fumbled.
Nice little delay. I like the delay. 5-second delay.
I'm gonna have to geek your mic up. I think I forgot how soft spoken you are.
Hey,
Well, I appreciate you coming in.
no problem.
And Eric
What?
loves how we start the show with a little Howdy toddy. God almighty.
What?
Sweat Equity
What do you think of that, Jared?
Podcast.
I thought he was doing Kamehameha from Dragon Ball Z. That's what I thought he was doing.
What's that?
I'd rather that.
Kamehameha.
Don't know what you're talking about. I'd
Goku,
rather that.
Dragon Ball Z.
We can
biggest
incorporate it.
anime. I bet if you did that, you'd get a whole lot more fans. All those Dragon Ball Z nerds would come there. I think it's a Dragon Ball Z podcast.
I have a friend that worked with me as an assistant at one point, and he was a huge Dragon. So you're hanging out with him all day, and he would bring up Dragon Ball Z all the time, and I'm like, "You're a fucking man. What are you talking?" Look, I get it. If that's your thing,
They just brought it back too.
I'm like, look,
seasons.
to me, that is like anime porn almost. Like, if that's your thing, like that's your thing. But if I tell you I'm not into it, I'm not into it.
Right.
Drop it.
I don't need to. If you're not into football, I'm not going to bring up football to you. You know, like
Yeah.
unless you want to know more about the game. Which
But how do you not live in this world and know anything about football?
you know, it's
I don't know
weird.
anything about Harry Potter, and I get upset when people talk to me about it because I don't know anything about it.
I don't want to know anything about it because
Nope.
my friend broke it down this way. He read all the books. He's older than I. He's 5 years older than I am, which means he's 4 years older than Chris Johnson. And he was telling me like every time they get in the jam in the book, they just go, "Oh, we have magic," and we just get out of it. So I'm just like, why would I ever pick that up now? Why would I ever?
The movies are better.
I guess I was gonna wait.
I haven't even watched.
Wait
the
till your
freaking
kids get
movies.
older.
Yeah, the kids will want to get into it. I'll
The
watch
ride
it
is
with them.
nice at Universal Studios.
I've
You
heard
know
that. It's
That is
sick.
a nice ride. I didn't know anything walking inside it. Everyone's like, "This is a Gryffindor." I was like, "I don't know. I'm just here for the ride, man."
So I have a no theme park stance that I've put down.
Better drop that.
It's only Disney World really, so Universal might work, but I'm never going to Disney World.
You got kids, man.
Never going.
Yes, you'll go.
You've been,
You'll
right?
go.
Yeah, I went when I was little, but I don't.
You'll-
I have like a.
Dude.
You have a daughter. You'll go.
I don't want them indoctrinated into this garbage. Like
Okay.
they're Disney.
Okay, I thought the same shit.
The
but
weird-
dude, it's easier if
No,
you
no,
just
I said
bend
this-
over and let it
Right,
happen.
right. This
Just
is my one thing.
accept.
You
I
don't
will,
like your kids liking Star Wars?
They can be into it.
That's Disney.
They're not like, oh, it's the conglomerate.
That's
they're,
Disney, man.
they're not tying it together. They're not tying together Marvel.
They're
Look,
making a
if
Star
Mickey,
Wars
if Mickey
land
they're little
in
now.
Disney World
Cool. I'm not going.
because it's
He'll
Disney.
go.
It's hot as shit.
He's gonna go.
I'll go to Busch Gardens.
No.
I'll go. Yeah. I'll go
November,
to
will
Adventure
cool off.
Park.
Take your daughter there.
I'll go to. I almost went to Dinosaur World today if I had them today.
Get the fuck. My wife and kids went to Dinosaur World this morning.
Synchronicities,
Dude,
man.
that is fucking weird.
We have a lot of these weird coincidences like that.
Sorry.
We've never
fun?
once
go.
we've never
No?
once talked about Dinosaur Land or World
That
or
is
whatever
so
it is.
Dino
creepy.
World.
My business attorney and friend Steve Fantetti, FantettiLegal.com, your business refined. I'll do a plug for him. He was going to take his son out there, and I was like, well, if I'm watching the kids, maybe we'll tag.
It's
up.
good. They have dinosaurs, and then they also have a lot of playgrounds for the kids, which is what it's all about. Wear them down, and it's just regular, park playgrounds. But they don't care.
Jared's a hardcore Christian. I don't think he's down with Dinosaur World. I think it's
I'm down with dinosaurs.
creationism.
There might be
problem.
dinosaurs. It might be real. Might be dinosaurs in the Bible. Maybe.
I don't think.
I've read a lot of the Bible. I don't.
Well, you got to think about the word dinosaur came out in what, 1800 something? Bible came out before that, so they probably didn't know
Well,
what they're
I don't have
describing.
my laptop
There you
to
have it.
verify.
I
They're
can't
Probably
believe
like dragons. They probably thought they were dragons walking around or
I
big
can't beat
whatever.
that logic.
So it was probably they called it something else.
airtight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is there to argue?
Might be a dinosaur in
Maybe
there.
the burning bush was a burning triceratops. Who knows?
Might be a bush, but
Yeah.
it might have been dinosaurs in there.
What about
There's bones
They
there.
maybe set the fire.
What do you think about that? The thing about biblical times, they were accidentally doing acid, and
Love it.
And
Who's doing acid?
so there's the theory. What was the?
The theory is the burning bush was,
was
the
weed. He was
acacia
smoking.
tree, which is high in DMT, and it was a metaphor for
Moses
doing
seeing
DMT or doing whatever
Or they really
psychedelics,
thought they saw it.
or they were high on DMT or acid, or probably not acid. It wasn't invented for 500 years, whatever. But mushrooms, something, and they thought the shit was on fire,
Yeah.
something like that.
Thoughts?
Well, I know that.
I think it's more of a metaphor. My bad.
that story. I know it
Popped
happened. It happened. Oh, you all right?
We're good.
We're good.
Oh, well, when I was out there in Egypt, they told me that story happened in Egypt, and that part isn't known for growing any psychedelics. They're telling me like this.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Man.
Well,
I don't think he was on like another. I think he maybe saw him. I went up to those mountains, those Mount Sinai.
Yeah.
That's what they're talking about. I went to those mountains, and they were like very telling me like, no, this is where Moses came up here and saw
Where
it
it all
like
went
that.
down.
Then they told me ISIS was just here 3 days ago, and I was like, well, let's keep
Well,
climbing.
time
I'm
to get
already
in
here.
the truck and get the fuck out of here.
so I won't shave this beard.
No,
That's what they thought. Most of
Yeah.
them thought I was like Egyptian when they were talking to me.
you could probably blend in.
They're just like,
The
oh,
beard?
You're from Egypt? Yeah. Because I thought I would have to tuck my cross and like, no, wear the cross. This is Jesus lived in Egypt, so we're very excited about that. And I was like, all right, cool.
I would go no nothing. Even though that's kind of the point of wearing it is a little bit to show people that you.
So I had no idea, like, the guys on the tour, like, they're, like, religious Christians and stuff like that. Because they're, like, they're like thick eyebrows, and they're, like, one guy had a gun on him, had a gun on his side, gun on his back, and they're all, like, walking me and this, like, this white blonde girl and this other white dude. So we're, like, walking around Egypt with all these security guards. And then, and then after that, I was like, I probably look Egyptian. And he's like, no, we know we're the Americans. Like, how can you tell the Americans? He goes, wait till the music plays. I was like, what happens when music plays? Like, Americans can't stop dancing. And I was like,
What?
I love that about
Really?
America.
that's what he said. He's like, if you're on a party, he goes, the Americans are the first one to start dancing.
Hell yeah.
And then when the
Dad
music came on, I didn't realize I was the first one to start dancing, getting people on the
That's
dance
the only
floor.
positive stereotype about Americans I've heard.
Really? I've never
These
heard that
days.
one.
He said they're the first ones to start dancing. I was like, I could be Canadian. He goes, Americans dance. They always dance when their songs come on. They're always jumping. They're always dancing.
I thought he was going to say wait till the song comes on because it's gonna be like, la, 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 and then all the Americans just sit there like, oh, fuck this.
As soon as that came on, I started dancing like Allah Akbar, hey Allah, and then all these people started dancing, and they're like, "Yep, there goes the American." I was like, "Yeah, maybe."
This was in Egypt.
I was in Egypt. Yep, I was in Cairo.
Is that the same trip you went to Tel Aviv? Did you?
Yeah.
How was that?
Tel Aviv was nice.
I really
It
want to
was
go
good.
there. I don't know why.
We're gonna skip
should
over the
go.
pyramids and the Sphinx and all that.
we'll
In Tel
come back.
Aviv.
We can come back. Yeah.
Okay.
You know, Robbie Shloak is he's from Israel.
Yeah, no.
His family's, yeah, I didn't even know that. Yeah.
Stand-up comedian
Israeli,
from Tampa.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The man out there just did Conan. Shout out to Robbie Shloak.
Yeah, he hasn't come on this podcast. I keep forgetting about that.
Yeah, bring him down, man.
I think that's on purpose.
I think he'll be down here in like November or something.
Wrote for Jon Stewart's show for a little bit. That
Jewish show.
That went away.
But I think Stewart canceled it just because.
No,
he was
I know.
like-
I'm
I
just
think
saying.
I think the idea was, to do news topics, animate it that day, and get an animation out that night. But we're not. The technology isn't there yet, to my
Right.
understanding. That'd be really tough because you can't. He was saying you can't beat YouTube and you can't beat the cable stations that are already commenting on it or Twitter. So it's like, what's the point?
Yeah, you just gotta do a live card and animation. I
Because
guess.
the value of having animation doesn't beat, the latency on the joking on whatever happened.
Well, with face recognition, like through the iPhone and stuff, they could do it like that. They could make little characters and comment on them.
I'm sure, but it's still an expensive show.
Yeah.
Anyway, you cut it.
HBO.
It normally takes like 2 years for them to animate those movies, and then they do the voiceover and they send it back and all that shit.
Yeah, they sent it
takes
out
forever.
to Korea, I think. Yeah.
Although
Yeah.
South Park is, I don't know if you saw that documentary. where
One day, they do it in one day,
it's
right?
crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, they got that SNL process where they just make themselves crazy, and whatever works, that's their formula. I was thinking
Yeah.
about that the other day because I was in here working really late, and I was like doing website development, and I was like, this is so much better just to knock it out and not talk to anybody and just do it in one full day kind of thing than trying to piecemeal this project out. Some stuff works better that way, but I think if you have all the materials to build the house, it's much better just do it in one day than just waiting and just hurry up and wait and then
Knock it out
getting
while
stressed
you can.
about it. Yeah.
Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah, been thinking a lot about that. Anyway, Tel Aviv.
Went to Tel Aviv. I was actually staying in this place called Migdal Hammock. I was staying in a kibbutz in like northern Israel. I was working my program called Talmuz, like for teachers, like American teachers going and teaching Israel. So like the CEO of my school like sent an email, like, you want to do it? And I was like, sure, I'll do it. Because nobody else was doing it. And I was like, anybody else do it? And they're like, yeah, you should do it. So I went out there, supposed to be for 2 months, and I extended for another 2 months. And then I was like, I'll just travel while I'm out there. So I was doing stand-up out there, met all those Israeli comics.
I want to hear about that. What's the scene?
I actually had a strong scene. A lot of those guys are like really famous.
Man,
It's just
all
I don't
Jews.
know who. Oh yeah,
A lot of
A
competition.
lot of good writing out there.
it was
Not
different.
a lot of stool fucking.
It's no, it's a lot of different because Israelis, like they consider themselves Israelis, not Jewish. Some of them are not religious. You know what I mean?
And you're like, hey, man, hey,
So it's
you're
just
Jewish.
so that's like they don't consider themselves as Jews. They know they're Jewish when they're here, but some of them like, we're Israelis. We're happy to be Israeli. This is our country. We fought hard to be Israeli. It's like, all right, cool. But a lot of the comics, I went to a Hebrew club, so they gave me a hard time in the beginning. Because I was like, hey, I'm a comic from New York. I was everything else. I didn't say New York. I was like, hey. 'cause
You're really setting me up for some. I'm trying not to.
I didn't do that.
Easy.
No, I was in the
Easy on the
paper.
dad jokes.
I was in the paper. They wrote this big article about me, so I showed them the paper. Like, hey,
What?
I'm doing it. Yeah, they they wrote me a big article inside the paper about like what I was doing and teaching.
First black guy.
Probably was. I think I
the
probably
parade.
was. So they gave me all this press. So I was using the press. Was like, hey, I'm a comic. Starting to everything else, and the lady goes, so do you speak Hebrew? I was like, no. She's like, why would you want to do the club? This is a Hebrew club.
Oh.
And I was like, what happens when Louis C.K. comes there? You guys gonna get a translator for him? She goes, are you Louis C.K.? I was like, good point.
Ooh,
And then
yeah.
I was
I
like,
am jerking off.
so then the owner, because I was texting, I guess I was talking to like the secretary. Then the owner, he's a comic. He comic started the club. He goes, hey, come out, hang out. I can't get you on, but hang out. And I know what that meant. Just see what can happen, just to see if I would go.
Yeah, wait in the back of the room.
So I went there, and he goes, oh, you're the comic. Yeah. And he goes, someone drops out. Maybe I could put you up. Then somebody dropped out. And I was like, yep, let's do it.
So I'm going to throw this into a little bit of the theme of the podcast, kind of motivation or kind of pragmatic business advice. And a lot of stand up, it's very similar to being any kind of entrepreneur you want to be. Like,
Correct.
just be around it, and you don't know what's going to happen. Like sponging off of people like you want to do whatever, you want to be a welder, but they're not giving you the opportunity. Just go, hey, can I come and sweep the floors? Can I come and just hang out when y'all are going over the plans or something like that?
Being in the dugout.
Yeah, I'll be in that nappy dugout all day. I'm here. I'll do whatever it takes to kind of learn, and that's kind of what you have to do in stand up. I got all my gigs when I lived in LA, just not by being. I wasn't a douchebag to anybody because everybody has this weird ego at every level, which is insane. And then I would go do open mics, and I just keep going to shows like these smaller, shows that I could definitely like hold my own on. They weren't like the Laugh Factory Comedy Store, but they were like, produced shows by comedians, but like the good ones.
Right.
And I'd be there. I would just show up and not be weird and be polite. And like that would go so far. And I think that is a crazy lesson just in anything you want to do in business is like, don't have the ego about being, bottom of the totem pole.
And I guess sometimes it's like knowing that the people who are at the top of the totem pole, they're not
thinking
going
about
to
you.
shun you. Yeah, they're not thinking about you're taking their spot. So you can approach them. Even though like some, I'm pretty sure a janitor can't approach a CEO and ask for a business meeting. But like it maybe can happen. But like sometimes I could talk to comics that I probably never thought I'd talk to. And they're just like, cool, like, oh yeah, what are you doing? How are you trying to do this? And I was like, oh wow, I didn't know that you were so accessible.
Yeah, it depends how exclusive the industry you're trying to get into,
Or that they didn't do all the same shit you're having to go through
Right.
at that
I
point.
think that
Right.
too,
Right.
yeah.
Most of them did.
A lot of CEOs, they may start out at a C-suite level position or, right underneath that and work their way up. So, it's kind of like that with the app kind of software guys because they all started in their garage or whatever or in a shitty apartment or something like that and made some disruptor thing. And I've found some people I've talked to just super approachable because they still have that empathy of how shitty they were like 7 years ago kind of thing. So, all right. So you went to the club.
I went to the club, hung out. Well, I knew I went to the club to see what was going on. So I was just talking to all the comics, and they're like, what their version of New York was way different than what the version that I lived in. They're just like basing off TV. Like, what is it like? 500 people every night at the clubs, right? I was like, no, it's not like that. He's like, the cellar. I was like, it's only 60 seats. What? 60 seats?
Yeah.
I was like, they're small rooms, man. He goes, oh, what about
The ceiling's 8 feet.
Right, the open mics. I bet it's like 10 minutes. I was like, it's 2 minutes, and there's 60 comedians going up at. He goes, so they're just very like, they're trying to get a gist of like American comedy, and then I respected the fact that some of them like we didn't want to. Someone was like, why don't you just translate your jokes to English? He goes, I don't want to be that hacky comic with the voice with the gimmick. I was like, oh, I get that. That's respectable.
Yeah.
Some of them had like comedy specials. Some of them had like hour specials that they had on like other platforms and stuff.
Does everybody speak English?
Pretty much. They speak Hebrew, but like when I went on stage, the audience was trying really hard to understand my jokes.
Sure.
So it was just like a laugh delay. So they really love impressions. So like impressions and everything else. But when we were for Hebrew Club, they get excited if you know any language. So like I would change a punchline to like their language, and they would like erupt and be like,
Do you remember?
How'd you do that?
yeah, I think one of my jokes is about albinos. So I learned what albino meant in Hebrew, and I said it, and they were just like, oh. They
We hate 'em
They
too.
like pointed to one, and I was like, yeah.
There happened to be a whole busload of them.
I imagine the Catskills, but that's just my Judar kind
It
of deal.
sort of reminded me of Miami, Florida. That's what it reminded
boy.
me of. Just like the beach, everyone's like mixed there. So they're all like swirly people and everything like that.
Except they're hard. They're all of them are like they are very tough
Tough people.
because you got to go in the army right after high school for
Yeah,
a
3
year.
years.
mandated.
3 years.
3 years, women have to go
So
for
the
2 years.
chicks are hot because they're all kind of jacked.
Yeah,
You know,
they're walking around with guns. They're walking around with guns. They're walking around with like M16s and
They don't
stuff
have
like
that entitlement thing too. If you talk to any like chicks from Tel Aviv or whatever, they're all, they're better to talk to because they're way more humble. They don't have this thing of like, I'm trying to be a Kardashian model, Instagram
Right.
model kind of thing.
Well, some of them are.
They are sure, but that's because they're hot and they got on there. But they're not. That's not something they're pushing to do. It's like
Correct.
They already went in the army.
Yeah, I think I was talking to, someone like when I was teaching out there. A lot of the parents were telling me because I was like, "You guys don't discipline your kids or anything like that," and the parents were telling me like, we don't want to discipline them. Some of them we don't want to discipline them because they're going to go to the army anyways and get disciplined. And I was like,
I don't know about that.
They want to
Yeah.
mail it in.
Right. So some of them
I'd
are just
probably
like,
do the same thing.
I know, me too.
right. So I guess that, they're like that. So some of them were like some of the kids like the school I was at, like it was a wild school, and I just asked them, they're like, oh, they're going to the military anyways, they'll straighten it out. And I was
He'll
like,
learn.
well, all right.
So I thought about that area just like I've heard about South Korea, where everybody's tried to fight South Korea. My wife's from there, so it's kind of like obviously I pay attention to it a lot more. But it's that thing of like, oh yeah, Japan, North Korea, Russia, China have all tried to take them over, and not even like that long ago, like all within like
50 years.
something like that, like the last 100 years or something like that. So if you watch Korean movies, they're fucking hard. They are the Old Boy. Remember they tried to remake it here with Spike Lee doing it. I refuse to watch it, but that's like the best revenge movie, but also one of the hardest movies to watch, like you'll ever see.
I'm not into that anymore.
No, it's worth it's worth
War
seeing
movies
once.
and shit?
No, it's not a war movie.
Even still.
Dude, you'd love it because it's weird. It's like you don't know what's going on. It starts with this guy trapped in an apartment,
Right.
like jail cell. You seen it?
I seen clips of it. Shout out to my Koreans out there. We respect you and your culture. You know what I mean?
Namaste.
Close enough. And he's training himself to fight in this apartment complex. It's one of the best action movies, I think,
It's on
too.
Netflix still?
I don't know. You have to find the new one. Yes, I think, but
If you change your VPN,
old-
you'll see it.
old boy.
Okay, old boy.
It's
Yeah.
not that old. It's only like 2003.
For them, I guess when small countries, I guess for them to be such a small country, I was like, everyone was just like really nice. Like I work with a lot of Israeli people, and they're like the sweetest people in the world. They're very caring and they're very like understanding of culture. Just like, oh, what was it
Sure.
like growing up, stuff like that.
Sure.
So I
It's like the Muslims, though, right? I don't like them.
actually no, a lot of them are they're Arabic. Some of them are like Arabic Israeli, so they're very cool. There's like a Muslim population in Israel that I met. There's like a mix of everything, so it's just like a melting pot a little bit.
So it's
Everyone
not a
from-
universal hatred.
It's
No.
not. It's not like.
These are good things to hear.
Yeah, I don't know. I would think the
This-
demarcation line was just the border.
Well, this
you
dude
know?
told me, this guy, the Egyptians told me, he goes, we sort of missed when the Jews were there, when the Jewish people were there, because it was three people. It was like Christians, Jewish people, and Muslims. So now it's just like now one group has got really big, but he goes, it used to be divided of like three different.
three
religion.
groups that hate
Three
each
groups
other.
He said it was peace. I mean, I never lived there. It's a shout out to the Middle East. I don't know that
Yeah.
much. I can't speak on that one, but I know that's what he told me.
Well-
Like the tour guy was just like, it used to be.
We'll target this. We'll do a Facebook ad, target some people in Tel Aviv, and see if they like this.
Giza.
I want to see. We have the power to do it. It's not that hard.
Right.
We're nerds. We know how to fucking do that nerd shit. But I'm interested to see what that feedback might be.
To be like that. Yeah, I was just more like a sponge. So I was like, I went to Palestine. I went to like Bethlehem, where's the birthplace of Jesus, and talking to them. So it's always curious, like how everyone feels. Like,
Did you bring
about
any
it.
mür, frankincense?
Yeah, I
any of
did.
that?
I brought some myrrh back.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, you rub it on your back. Yeah, they said like it helps. Like
You're merman.
they say it helps your like.
How long have you had that in your back pocket?
No, man. I'm just letting it rip.
Oh, yeah.
Man,
It's just when Jared's here, I'm gonna let it rip. man.
Merman.
Merman and barnacle boy. I think they said it helps your like soothes like pain. Myrrh, Franks and myrrh. I bought a lot of Franks and myrrh, like a bottle in there. So I put inside my humidifier, let that thing shoot up in the air. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and you're like, Jesus.
Shoot it inside there. Shout out to Bethlehem.
Are you
know
going?
what I mean?
Are you going? You're one of the rare comedians I know that goes to church
Right.
on the reg.
Shout out
and-
to church.
Shout out to church.
Are we writing all these down?
Um,
A lot of shout outs.
well, it's an interesting thing
Middle
where you're
East.
like, you go do stand up, talk about some of the most horrible things you can. Not you necessarily. Your act's not really like mine, but in that direction. But you will say like whatever, and then the next
Right.
day, I used to do this a little bit. I'd go on the road and I just try to find a church just so. It gave me a sense of just like some kind of routine, because when you're on the road, you lose your mind a little bit.
Right, yeah. I
Yeah.
understand that.
Does that kind of help you get a routine while you're in? Because New York is kind of like there's so much stuff moving around, and you feel like, I don't know. This is how I felt in L.A. There's 4 backup things to do during the day. There's always something to do, and you get the FOMO thing where you're like, ah, shit, I wish I would have gone to that instead of doing this all day or something. But
Sometimes I feel like that like when I'm watching stand, like, oh, I should have went to that show. I should have did this. I should have hung out more. I should have been all over that. Should have went to Brooklyn. Should have did that. But like my Sundays, I think church starts at. Oh, I know it starts at 11, and I pretty much work there from like 8, setting up and stuff like that. I think I've been doing it since I've been young, so it's not really different. I mean, there's a period when I didn't go to church at all when I was like in college, and I was like figuring things out again. But for me,
it's be a cornerback or a running back. That was basically it, right?
I guess you just got to find the religion for yourself. You got to start believing in things that sometimes you don't want to believe off a feeling. You want to actually you want to feel exactly what you've been trained on the whole time. So like for me, when I go to church, especially like that, I know that if I can do all this stuff all late at night, I can come to church on Sunday and help somebody.
Yeah, a friend of mine put it this way: is like, so what if you don't sleep 8 hours? Like, just go. It's at 9:30, whatever. Just go.
Just go. You're gonna meet somebody. You're gonna feel better. You're gonna meet somebody not having a bad time. I think one
just
time,
sit there and just be quiet for an hour. That's what I do. Like that. I'll go seriously. Like
That's the best sell.
I have
so far.
I have to sit there. I'm going to try to go tomorrow, and I haven't been in a while, and it is something where I don't like. This is good mentally for me because you don't really have a forced conversation for an hour.
Right.
Not forced in a bad way, but like, how many times do you have a conversation a week where you're talking for an hour and you don't look at your phone pretty much the whole time?
Well, my church, everyone has phones now, so you can't tell if they're checking on their phone or writing their Bibles on your phone now. So you keep so busy, like,
People are looking at their
Bible apps. You can see people on Instagram and stuff like that. You can see people streaming the service and everything.
I'm helping my church for their stuff as a donating time kind of thing, because we try to do like something once a quarter for charity wise, community wise, and I know they need help, and I was helping them out, and I was like, because they have the same context as a lot of stand-ups. Like you're talking to about, it could be 100 people, could be 300 people. It's a show of sorts.
Some people, yeah. Might be a show, the headliner, he does 45. Then you got the moderator.
Some guys are funny.
Yeah.
So my pastor, I think, is really funny. It's a husband and wife team, too. So it's like...
That's what I got.
Yeah, so the wife, she's cool. She just knows she's not, like, joking. She's not that kind of...
She's doing run-ins.
She's like...
She's got a chair.
She's all set up.
She's got a folding chair.
Yeah, she comes in with a pie.
That's something I'm getting over. I have no problem with a funny preacher. That's his personality. But one time I was talking to this minister, and he literally walked up to me and goes, I'm thinking about doing an open mic, man. Really thinking about getting up there. People said I was funny in college. I was like, yeah, move away from it.
Yeah, you don't want that life.
What? No. Sometimes I think it's offensive to me to walk up to me and be like, oh, I see what you're doing. I think I can do that.
I'm like you.
I was like, yeah. Let me preach tomorrow. Let
Dude,
me
you
do
have
that.
an open mic once a week with a captive audience. What do you want?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I can't speak.
The difference with them, they have a board of directors, which is always some board.
Some church boards and stuff like that. Like my dad, he's a minister. He's funny. He's a funny guy. He has funny
Shout out
stuff,
to your
but
dad.
he's not trying to. I know he's not running bits and stuff like that and doing callbacks throughout the service.
What's your
stuff.
dad's name?
His name's Esau.
Esau?
Yeah, like the Bible.
Nice. Shout out to Esau.
Shout out to Esau.
We didn't give him a proper one.
Big E. That's what we call him.
I'm gonna send this to him.
Yeah.
I'll find his email.
Yeah. So, my dad, he's a very funny guy. He's funny, everything else. But I know he's not gonna go to open mic. I know he's not gonna be running tags. I know he's not gonna be doing setups. So I think it's a fine line. You could be a funny preacher because you gotta mingle with people. But then, like, if you ever talk to me about stand up, and I'm just like,
yeah,
I don't know why. Well, I think like now, since I'm in New York now, I feel like since I'm doing it, like I just feel like it's kind of disrespectful to walk up to somebody and see somebody who's like working really hard, who's left his lifestyle and left another state, and he's coming out here to be like, "Hey, man, I want to do what you do for fun."
Well, I'll give you the other side of that. It's made to look easy, right? It's made to look like it's fun.
It doesn't look easy.
No, no.
I don't look at Dave Chappelle like, "Oh wow, look how easy that is."
He actually does make it look easy. I was watching it this morning.
You see it through a different prism, though. I'm saying the general audience. There's a sliver of them that they know how hard it is, and it kind of makes them anxious a little bit. If you've ever walked in the back of a room and you can kind of feel it, some people are like, you can feel it's a little palpable kind of nervousness for the show. Correct. Almost. But I would say most people do not have that kind of insight or do not think about it past oh man, that looks like a lot of fun. I'm a gregarious person.
But
I make people laugh at church.
It's like that. But now, like, if I know that you want to do stand up, now I'm gonna think you're always running bits.
Trying them out.
And I'm not going to take anything you said seriously because now I know you want to be funny, and that's your goal is to try to be a stand-up comic. And if you want to be a stand-up comic, cool, be a stand-up comic. But now I don't know if you're just trying to run bits by me or you're literally a funny guy. Like, I don't know.
Now I feel like you're talking directly to me. I'm
it's
not going to tell any more jokes.
No, it's not even. No, you
Eric
could be a
did
funny.
stand-up?
You're funny. I could be a funny person, but it's like, you know, like some like police officers, right? Some police officer comics. Last time I was in Tampa, it's a true story. I was driving my dad's car. His van didn't have a tail light. I didn't know. Yeah, I was driving. Yeah, Mr. Waters.
Shout out to Easel.
Shout out to Pops. And he didn't tell me the tail light's broken, so I got stopped by the cops. And I'm like in Brandon, so it's like 8 o'clock in the morning. So the cop stops me and take off my hat. You know, I don't know where anything is in his van, so I was like, "Here's my ID.
Oh, boy.
I just came from New York." Gave him everything else, gave him the insurance, everything else. He goes, good. And he goes, are you nervous? I was like, no, I'm good. And he goes,
I'm nervous right now.
Yeah.
Right. But I know I'm in Florida. I know where I am. So I know, take off
hands
my
on the
hat,
wheel.
hands on the wheel, everything else. Not going to say something, yes, sir, no, sir. And then 4 more cars pull up.
Just start grimacing now.
Right.
Before you get beat. Just pre-grimace.
4 more cars
Getting
pull
the
up.
bitch ball. You know the bitch ball where you get your ass kicked and you're just like,
I was like, well, I was like, we're on Bloomingdale. So I was like, I know nothing's going to happen at Bloomingdale. There's all these families and stuff out there.
Suburban
area.
crawl.
And I'm driving a big van. So they're probably like, nothing. So they probably just, maybe it was a taillight. Maybe it was. So then all these 4 more cops pull up.
Oh my
This big
God.
black dude jumps out and they're talking for like 10 minutes. I was like, oh man, what? I thought I got a parking ticket in New York. And I was like, oh, it's probably that parking ticket that I just freaking got my car towed. Because I was like, I thought I had 20 more days to pay it off. So that's what I was thinking.
You're running down this list of all the shitty things you've done.
I only had one thing. I was like, why would they pull up something from New York? And then the big black dude walks up and goes, hey, man, this is your expired tags. We'll give you a warning for the taillight, but I just want to talk to you about something else. Because you didn't tell me where you were yesterday. Is it because there was a murder and your name was there? And you're the person we're looking for. I kid you not. I put that on everything.
Did not see that coming.
He said that to me. And I was like, I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I was like, I was in Cuba yesterday, man. I was literally in Cuba.
That's a good place to
Good
be.
alibi.
I literally was in Cuba yesterday. And I was in Cuba yesterday. I was like, I'm only in here for a show downtown. And he goes, I know, man. I saw you on the flyer, man. I was just joking with you. Have a good night. Have a good day.
Hilarious
And I was
joke.
I was not. Afterwards,
He didn't even say somebody murdered last night or something
He
like
said someone was murdered last night, and you're the person that we're looking for. And he just looks at me.
But he could have done a joke about murdering at
fucking
the
hilarious.
club.
And then he goes, my partner told me you're really nervous. And I was like, because there's a big black dude walked up there. And I was just like, all right, if you want to do an open mic, you do that at an open mic. You know what I mean? Like now I don't
No way.
know.
I'm on the cop side. That's fucking hilarious. They're bored all day too.
Right, but do you know how scared
Yeah.
someone could... but I wasn't really scared because I was like, no, I was in Cuba. And he's like, what? I was like, I can show you pictures, man. I was in Cuba. He goes, what? I was in Cuba yesterday. And he goes, no, we're looking for you. Somebody was killed. And I was like, yeah, man. I was like, well, you could just take me in now, but I'm pretty sure I wasn't. And he goes, no, my partner told me you're very nervous and stuff like that. So just joking around with you. I think you're a comic, right, or something like that.
Oh,
and I was like,
don't get me wrong. This is annoying for
It's
you.
funny, yeah,
I
but I
get
was just
it.
like-
but
In
on my
retrospect.
side, it's really funny.
It's hilarious.
for them,
yes,
they
of
probably
course.
had a good stick out of it. Then my boy Max White was like, get his freaking badge number and turn him in and all that other stuff.
He's
And
white.
I was, Max. And I was just like, I'm good, man. They got their joke out of the day. They got their thrill of it. But I was like, you want to keep the jokes on stage. You know what I mean?
That's a white people move, though. It's like get his badge number, and we're gonna call. We're gonna call tomorrow, and I'm gonna set it up. I'll set it. I'll form a formal complaint. I'll put it in.
That was a really good joke that they did. But I was just like, what if it was somebody? I was thinking like, what if it was my dad driving? Because my dad, he's a veteran, so he probably would have said something smart.
Was he on the flyer?
No, it was the flyer wasn't in the car. You know, it was just like
But
he just thought. I think one of them saw me somewhere and was
yeah,
like, oh,
the
you're a
partner.
cop.
It sounded like the partner saw you.
Yeah.
I think your dad would have been safe.
Yeah.
It's
I
kind of
think Esau
exclusive to
gets
you,
off.
I
Right,
think.
but I was just been like,
Well,
know,
Esau could have gone to jail. Who knows?
that's what I'm saying. So it's just like sometimes like you're being funny.
Well, Esau may
Cool.
not be that cool. Like
You
he
wanna
may-
be- you
under
wanna-
pressure.
We're not gonna be dropping my dad's name anymore before he hurts both of us.
No. Him and I are tight. I'm gonna send this to him, and he'll be fine.
Yeah, I guess it's certain like that. It's just like some things are funny, which was funny that moment. But I was like, do you want to be a comic or do you want to be a cop?
You know how bored you'd be as a,
I know.
as a cop? Like,
But that's my point about a minister. You know, you could be funny, but like now I know when I see you as a police officer, you're a prankster now.
but humor...
So now when I ever see you, I'm not going to have that same respect for you because now, like, you just do pranks.
Humor is very underrated, though, and as far as getting a message across. We talk about it with advertising. We feel like if we have funny ads for an ad campaign, it's going to do so much better. People discount creative a lot of the time.
It's a little
Correct, I
plus
get that.
one. It's a little extra something
It may
to
get
whatever
more-
it is you're doing.
It may get more
It's nice.
organic shares
Right.
on anything than your whole ad spin together if you do it correctly, right? So
I think being funny. I guess
So-
art of being a stand-up comic is just like when people take it lightly. That's when I'm just like,
that's what it
that's
is.
where I'm
right.
getting at.
So
you know
I'm
what I
going
mean?
to say
Been working
humor.
hard.
Use humor to your advantage. Just stay in your pocket. Like don't.
Correct.
I'm not slapstick, so I don't really do it. You know, like I'm not crazy over the top silly. I am like to my kids because
Right.
they think it's funny, but they're 2. So it's like I kind of know where I'm at stand up wise with the voice I've tried to make, and you still keep working on it. But it's like people think that they gotta do something different, and I always tell them I had to teach like a humor, how to be funny in the business world. We tried this out as like a session just to see if
How'd it go?
have legs, and guess
Crickets.
what? You guys aren't gonna believe this, but I didn't prepare. Just like my stand up.
You probably plan to though.
I
Put it in your calendar.
I wrote
Wait,
some
okay,
notes.
wait.
I wrote some notes. We came back from my wife shooting her first her first TV appearance,
Oh, laughs.
laughs, when she was 9 months pregnant with her
Yes,
first
I
kid.
remember that one.
And then I had to fly. We flew back in that morning. I think I went directly to this thing. So it was like, my butthole was pretty puckered the whole time we were going to do that because it was the last day she could fly, kind of
Right.
thing. And
Lesson one.
and then everybody's giving her like eye rolls and shit, like, ugh, I can't believe you're on a plane, kind of shit.
Oh, 'cause she was 9 months pregnant.
Right, but it was like, no, the doctor said we've checked. I think we went out of our way to tell like 3 people, like, don't look at her like that. It was fine. We checked it out. She's okay.
Is that Ali Wong?
Yeah,
She really blew up her spot.
I know. Bad timing.
The odds of it.
So I did this course because I thought about it a lot. What would I do? How would I talk? And I always say like be 20% a little bit more of yourself, kind of thing. That was
Correct.
kind of my only rule, because that's how I feel about stand up. It's like how I talk on here is a little heightened from normally, right?
Correct.
If I'm into a conversation, I'm going to be a little bit more a little engaged and have kind of pregnant pauses like some of this rants I go on. But for stand up, it's a little bit more than this, right? So call this podcast 10% more, call stand up a little bit 20%, because you got to be in the zone. You got to see what's going on. You have to be totally present with what's going on.
I think that stand-up has changed now. The people are more buying into the person instead of the jokes now.
Sure.
Like, you know,
Sure.
it's more, the more open you are. And that's what
brand.
Yeah. Like when I moved up to New York, I was just like, a lot of these people just talk about their lives all the time. Like who cares about your parents right now? Like, who cares? Like, you didn't establish that you're funny now.
Right.
Down south, it's more like you're funny first, then you start talking about your life.
Well, one thing we were talking about right before we started is you're opening for Dan Cummings, who
Yes.
I've nerded out on his Time Suck podcast. It's really, I've brought it up a bunch on this podcast. Really great podcast, but I could hear it through the intro where he'd be like, I'm in these cities.
Mm-hmm.
And then he does the updates at the end of the podcast too. And he'll like, I can feel the frustration a little bit through the context of what he's saying, but like, you know, some people are showing up, they don't know he does stand up.
Right, right.
Some people are showing up because they're flat earthers, because it's called the Flat Earth Tour, and it's a tongue-in-cheek kind of title.
Sells
Correct.
tickets.
Well, it's funny. It's like
Sold out.
I wonder how many more tickets he's pushed because it's called the Flat Earth Tour. It's got to be a handful of people a show, you know,
Yeah.
that are just.
I know it's packed, and he stays at the end too, and takes pictures of all the fans, everything else, chops it up with them. People are having like beers with him. And
But
stuff.
it's interesting. A lot of people know him as a stand-up, and now he's gotten some recent success just doing from this podcast. That's kind of, by my eyes, is kind of on fire. It's like a podcast that you don't see this kind of like nothing to, I don't know, one of the top podcasts probably out there, I'd say right now. in like a year and a half, 2 years. And so it's weird because his brand to a lot of people is that. And you're saying some people get disappointed because he's not talking about Hercules or
That's what they're yelling out.
Hercules.
They're yelling out that. They're yelling out.
Really?
They're yelling out a lot of stuff at the
He
end.
did one on Atlantis and like Bermuda Triangle.
At the end of his set, he
Biggie
does
and
that.
Tupac was one of them.
Oh wow, yeah.
That
At
was
the
the
end, he
one-
does that. Everyone's yelling out stuff.
Yeah, it's just weird, but they only know him as that, and they're just waiting for that kind of thing, you know?
Yeah,
But he's funny on the thing. That's the other part too.
Bert Kreischer too. Some of them are just waiting for the story at the end.
Sure.
The machine.
Yeah,
Give us
yeah.
the machine.
Yeah, and I could see it in his face, just like, God damn it.
And
It's a 17-minute story.
But
every show.
But I guess since that's how the people met you, everything else is a bonus now.
Yeah,
So
because
you probably see him live when he's just like, I'm gonna tell the machine at the end of the story, at the end of the night,
Yeah.
I'll do the machine, I
Mhm.
got everything else. But it's like people are like, oh, okay, yeah, good. So now it's like, all right, well, enjoy the show.
That's crazy. He has to do that just
Yeah.
to keep it quiet.
you think about it though, he said he did it after the special too. He shot one in Philly, and then he had to do that as like the encore. There's too many people like, what the fuck?
We need the machine.
But I get it, and just like being a pastor and kind of bringing it to that is like, the pastors probably tell the same parable.
Some of them do. Well, Jesus told the same message the whole time. He switched it up. He told the same message the whole time.
As a comic, you just feel blessed. Didn't mean to use blessed because we're talking about church, but like you feel super grateful that you have the opportunity. At the same time, you're frustrated that you can't. You feel like you're pigeonholing yourself. It's a weird duality.
I think for me, when I move, I think I've learned more. I'm more like a faith dude now. Like I was really more just
Faith. Oh,
faith, straight
I thought that was a
faith.
different kind of faith.
Yeah, not Faith Evans. Shout out to Biggie Smalls. And
Liz, I'm gonna need another sheet of paper.
I plead the faith.
yeah, she actually just married one of the producers. Remember that song? It's Bonin' Biggie, Biggie. It's
Yeah.
Bonin' Biggie,
Oh
Biggie.
yeah, Bone
yeah.
Thugs.
The producer, his name is Stevie J, right?
That's one of my all-time.
Probably heard that dude,
that's
Stevie J. He's
one of my
on Love
all-time
and Hip
favorite
Hop,
songs.
whatever.
Eric's
Just so you
rap
know.
stopped like in '99.
So you know that, yeah, the producer
that's
married
that's his
Biggie.
sweet
Green
spot.
and nicotine and dosa, papa, dopa, dopa, dopa. That song.
He
That's the
just
song.
married Biggie's ex-wife. Biggie's wife.
It all comes full circle.
Is Biggie alive? What do you think?
He can't do it. I don't know where he is, but this is I don't think he faked his death, so I don't know what
You
he
can't
would
hide
think.
Biggie. You can hide Tupac.
He's been dead,
smaller,
what, 20 years?
Yeah.
20
It's
years. His
crazy.
wife can move on.
All right.
I hope my lady doesn't move on. Anything happens to me, I hope that she doesn't move on. at
Oh.
all.
Hunt
You know what I
that
mean?
Where
ass.
is your lady with you in New York? By the
No.
way,
No.
I should have thrown your New York hat out of here as you were.
Oh
walking.
yeah.
Honestly, I had this-
Yankees
Do you,
fan.
I have an extra Tampa hat.
Dude.
Can I give you one?
Yeah, I had this Fidel Castro hat that I was
Racist
wearing,
podcast.
but I was rushing to get here, so I was just like, coming aside.
That shouldn't even be in the wardrobe.
Yeah, but I got it for $5, so
I'm gonna give you a Tampa hat on the way out.
thanks, I appreciate it. Is it blue?
We've got a navy blue one in there. I'll get you that.
Thanks, I
What's your
appreciate
hat size?
I think it's 7 3/8.
I think
7 3/5.
I've got a horse head. We surprisingly have the same head size. My head's big, but it's not.
Pause. Yeah, I think it's I think
Got
so.
that
It's not as
anvil
girthy.
head.
It's
It's
not
all
girthy.
squinched together.
Yeah, it's like Peyton
Amityville.
Manning. Yeah.
Mhm.
Shout out to Peyton, and Papa John. Shout out to both of them. You know what I
Eli,
mean?
Hunter Manning. No one talks about him.
That was Cooper.
Cooper Manning.
that's-
That's what I meant. Damn it. I knew it was a Southern ER name.
Fact checker.
Right, Cooper.
Whatever.
The smart one.
Yeah. So
What's the advice? Be entrepreneurial. You're a very disciplined guy, right?
Correct.
I feel like that's a lot of wanting to do your own thing, hustle. That's a lot of it's discipline. Any advice for the youngins? Doesn't have to be stand up. Just you teach the youngins.
right, I say always be willing to learn something.
Yeah.
Be open to learn something, because I think comedy has evolved now, where you have to learn a new trait. Now it's just like I have to have this presence, but I feel like you can still stay to who you are, and it's hard seeing sometimes older comics do what younger comics are doing,
What do you mean?
because you feel like they're above it. Like some comics,
Painful.
right? It's painful seeing like a comic that you respected trying to do an Instagram sketch in 60 seconds.
And
That is the hardest
They just
thing.
don't got it.
That is the hardest thing for me watching. I'm
Except
like-
for Kyle Dunnigan's.
some of them are really funny. you
Yeah,
know what I
but
mean? You
he's
can-
the
Yeah,
That's
you can,
just
you
so
can talk
funny.
to your fans, but sometimes it's like really hard when you see like an older comic with all these young comics trying to make like videos to appeal to younger kids. I'm just
Yeah.
like,
Because someone's
people-
like, you got to do that shit.
right? I'm just like, people out there still respect comedy,
Yeah.
and you can still build a brand doing it not even the old fashioned way, but you can do everything you want, but you don't have to do what these young comics are doing, because they're these young comics are machines. Like I met this dude like when Cam, Cam Bertrand. Cam was trying out for Wild 'N Out. We met all these like Instagram dudes
Shout out to Cam.
who are doing the videos,
He
and
looks
their
like Hillary
regiment.
Swank.
He got his hair now.
He hates
Shout
that.
out to Hillary.
Shout out to Swank.
Clinton.
She won an Oscar, man. She went
Look
two
at
or one.
someone Google Cam Bertrand and Hillary Swank and tell me I'm not.
someone Google.
No,
What do you-
whoever's
Right, right.
whoever's listening, Google it. Tell me he doesn't look exactly like her. Yeah, all right,
I
save that for later.
concur.
Where were we going? What were we talking about?
We're talking about the youngins, their machines, Wild 'N Out.
So like I talked to one of them. He's talking about how many videos he puts out. He goes, I got a crew, I got everything like this. So every Monday we're putting out content. We got to put out content, and that's how we get my followers. And he goes, if I don't do it, someone else is doing the video. I was like, so you guys are pretty much doing just like stand-up comics, but you're putting all your energy
You're burning
into
it.
these videos.
Mm-hmm.
But they're not comics, though. They'll let you know. They're not stand-ups. Like, we're just doing this to build out. And I respect that. I was like, this is what you do. You do really, really well. That's great, you know?
Yeah.
Because like an improver, he's probably really good at improv, but you make him do stand-up, he might be a little, you know what I mean, if that's not his base. If you make a stand-up person do improv,
Well, they're the opposite modes.
unless you do all three. Back in the day, a comic had to do everything. You had to write, you had to sing, you had to dance, you had to do all that stuff.
Play the guitar.
You
You
were the
have
Navy SEAL.
competition though. It's the competition, just the sheer quantity of people. How many people you think doing stand up? I always like this number. How many people you think do stand up in New York? Like consider themselves a comedian. Like we'll put it on their Facebook.
3,000.
Yeah. I mean that's a lot
That's
of fun.
pretty fucking crazy.
I would say
Right. It
3,000.
was probably 300
And
when the improv started. You know,
Right.
maybe. And that's like people were crooners and like
Yeah.
vaudeville guys.
Yeah.
It's a whole amalgam of way different stuff, show tunesy kind of people. Now it's like you got these guys that dabble in it. They're taking spots, but you can't get mad at that. People, I don't know why people think there's a scarcity of places. You can just make your own shit.
There's room for everybody. There's room.
Right.
I respect the comics that that crossover because some of them told me he goes I'm not a stand up comedian, but this club's giving me $5,000 to put on a show there because I have a big fan base. He
Sure.
goes, so I'm just gonna host a show. I was like, oh, that's cool. He's
Yeah.
just gonna
See how
host,
it
and bring
goes.
everything else. Like, okay, I get that, but I think it's like for us, like not to learn something. I had to learn like another tool about my stand up. I realized like, oh, it's a whole lot easier if I talk about myself in the beginning to let people know, oh, this is what I do for a living. So people are like, oh, okay, he's a teacher. Instead of waiting to like 20 minutes in
You
to
want
say,
to get like they need a thumbnail of you. Like
What a
yeah, like a
connect.
little.
Quick
That's what I learned. I
connect.
was like, oh wow. As soon as I get to it faster, I was like I get more laughs. I was like, oh, I just got to get to it faster now.
yeah, because you can't really put you together. Like you can try to profile you. Who you are by what you look like, but you're not coming up with flannel and no sleeves on and like
People
used to.
they want to know what they're dealing with immediately.
Right.
They're
Right.
gonna judge and
But
make that
that's-
decision one way or another.
And the
You
best
might
way-
as well control the message.
the best way
and
you
that's what
can.
and that's what I had to learn. I had to get out of my ways to be like, no, I'm here. I think the good thing was when I came to Tampa, was just like I was kind of like no one really knew me like that, so I had to do the get to know people like that. So when I moved to New York, it didn't really hurt me that bad of starting from the bottom because I've done it before. So it's like being a walk on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Of course, you're not gonna get.
Wow.
Of course, there's red shirts from different states. That
Comedy
are like,
special name.
Right. There's different
Walk on
people
something,
from different states that have done all these festivals. Like if Fernandez went to New York, he'd be a red shirt freshman because he's done these festivals, so he knows comics and everything else. But for me, I was just going up there, no credits.
At Matt Fernandez.
Just shout out to Fernandez.
like
He's
that.
actually dropping a special Saturday, recording his first
Tonight.
comedy special tonight. Shout out to you, Matt. Shout out to you getting back
This
with your
isn't-
lady. We support all that. Roll Tide.
How dare you drop a roll tide
Roll
in this
Tide
office?
in there.
Roll Tide, Roll Bama.
Or damn Eagle, man. Come on.
Go East Carolina, go Pirates. We're going to
All
make
right.
it 2-12 this year.
You brought it full circle with the walk on, I think, because where are we at? We're
40 something.
What did we stop at?
Yeah.
A minute? I mean,
Well,
hour?
we're trying to figure out the best sweet spot. I think when Eric and I are doing it solo, we're trying to keep him 33. When we got a good guest such as yourself, we're trying to just let it roll and just see where it goes. But I thought that was a good button to put in.
Yeah.
Unless you got more stuff to tell us.
This is what I want to say. Shout out to your fans. How many fans you guys got? 30, 100?
Millions.
Yeah, I mean it toggles between 1 million or 2. I don't know.
To everybody watching this, shout out to these two gentlemen. You guys are great. If you want to follow me, Twitter, Facebook, same thing. Dutch Blackfoot, if you're looking for me.
Because you're Dutch.
Great name.
Yeah, shout out
we
to
didn't
the
even talk about
Netherlands.
you being Dutch.
Growing up in the Netherlands. You know what I
Anti
mean?
shout out to Zartwell Pete.
Wait, real quick. How long did you live in the Netherlands?
Whoa.
You know what that is?
No. I ignored you.
I've never
obviously.
brought that up with you actually, and
Yeah.
I'm surprised because it's so it's so not cool to bring up. But
Well, now you're going to tell me.
Give him the story.
it's so it's a Santa Claus's
Black helper.
yeah. And,
Oh no.
But they still do parades in the Netherlands.
Yeah.
And it's like
It's the same
people
one
in
black
blackface.
guy.
His
Has
name
No.
is
Oh.
Sinterklaas.
it looks like Al Jolson like parade.
So like his character's a little slave, and that's the most popular character throughout the book. So all these people dress up in blackface and walk throughout the Netherlands.
And it's like supposed to be in like if you see the pictures, you're like that is so fucked up. But over there, it's not.
No, it's because we like him.
Yeah.
He's our favorite.
That's what they're like. Yeah, they really like him. So imagine what happens when I become a star. You know what I mean? What are they gonna do? They probably just have little voice defects and stuff like that they're doing. Who knows?
I hit a sensitive one. I didn't know.
One dude told me, he goes, you sound like Q-Tip. I was like, that's my dad. And he like froze and goes, what? I said, that's my dad. Yeah, I was there when they did
It's
Tribe Called
believable.
Quest album. And he was like asking me like, what was he like? I was like, he hit me a lot.
Fucking asshole.
And he was just sitting there like very distraught the whole time. And I was like, yeah, that's my dad. I'll call him right now. And he goes, dude, your dad's Q-Tip. I was like, yeah. And I had to stop because for a while he was like,
Why'd
really,
he beat you? Because I lost my wallet in El Segundo.
he was like very, I guess that was his favorite rapper. So you can tell he was just like, and I was like, I'm just joking. I don't know Q-Tip, man.
Hey man, he used to be one of my
Should have
favorites.
just left it.
Yeah, I thought about it, but he looked too invested into it.
Yeah.
Ruining lives.
Too invested into it. Wrap everything up.
You don't have any more advice? Usually, see,
Advice. I would tell people. Believe it.
You usually get more fired up as you go.
I really get fired up. I love doing that. I would tell people sometimes we can go. I'll give a biblical advice and I'll give like a regular advice. Regular advice is you got to believe in yourself. You got to believe in yourself, and you got to realize that you're your worst enemy, and you're going to be your best cheerleader. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Have people in your team that are smarter than you, some dumber than you. You
Sounds
know what
like
I mean?
you read the 4 Agreements or something.
48 Laws of Power.
Okay.
Genesis 12. But I think it's
lot
good
of
to
numbers.
always learn from people. Learn from people and be willing to teach someone. Because when you can teach somebody, you know what you're doing. Even if you teach somebody wrong, you're still teaching someone.
Teaching
You know what I mean?
yourself how stupid you are.
You know what I mean?
I agree with that. Teaching, that's part of this podcast too. Is like when you have to teach, you actually have to relearn something or learn it again or get better knowledge on it, a subject or whatever. So
Working hard. I was listening to this. They're talking to Joe Jackson. Rest in peace, Joe Jackson. Head
Why?
of the Jackson
Shoeless?
Legacy.
fuck that guy.
Why? What happened?
He
You
used to
did?
beat the kids up.
What? You didn't get a spanking growing up?
No,
Did you get a
I didn't
spanking
get
growing
beat.
up?
I think
What
it
is
went,
the beating? There were no videos.
You're talking about Michael Jackson's dad,
Michael
right?
Jackson's dad.
Yeah, not
Okay,
the other Joe
not
Jackson.
shoeless Joe Jackson. Okay. But all right, I think it was worse than just beating, wasn't it?
Look, you
There's
gotta
a-
think.
No,
I
Now,
think they
he
might
fucked
have
them up.
chemically castrated
times
Michael.
are different.
I
Look,
don't know, I'm
times
just
are
throwing
different.
that out there.
Times are different than
Don't
what
be a
they're
black
growing-
apologist.
I'm not. Times are different, but
It's
what
like
they were
Cosby's
doing.
not that bad.
I didn't say that. But
No,
Gary,
but you know what I'm saying. Like,
but Gary, Indiana is the roughest ghettos in the
doesn't
freaking world.
excuse it.
Doesn't excuse it. But if he didn't do it, where would his kids be? Not
Yeah,
musicians.
well,
not
Maybe
Michael's
anything.
alive.
dead. Michael's
Alive?
dead, so
Like
What?
3 of them are dead, so
No,
maybe
only
alive.
only one of them's dead.
Michael and
Who else?
there's another one. One
No.
of the other, one
They're
of the
all
lesser
alive.
known ones.
Ronald
No,
Jackson.
they're all alive. man.
Ronnie.
No,
Well,
there's
Ronnie's
no Ronnie.
dead as a doornail.
They're talking to Joe. They're talking to Joe Jackson, and like it was before he went.
Dude
his
was a
deathbed.
total piece of shit.
They're talking to Joe Jackson, and they asked him this interviewer asked him. He goes, "Hey, who was the best singer in your family?" And like everyone got pissed at this reporter, and like, "Why would you ask that freaking question?"
Right.
And then Joe goes,
Me.
"The best singer in my family was Jermaine Jackson." And everybody's like, "What the freaking?
Yeah.
Why the f would you say like Michael?" And he goes,
You
"It
could say
wasn't
fuck.
Michael." That's what he goes. He goes, "No." He goes, "It wasn't Michael." And he goes, "But Jermaine." He goes, "Jermaine had the best voice, but Michael outworked Jermaine."
Okay.
So I was just like, "Wow, I never knew that the guy was." You know
Or
what I
maybe
mean?
Michael had the best voice and he was trying to motivate Michael.
Yeah.
Or
You hear
Jermaine.
that, Michael?
Yeah.
Or Jermaine
Jermaine's
has
better.
the best voice. That's pretty much back to, it's like, don't let no one outwork you. You know what I mean? Even if you're the best at your craft, there's a lot of great comments, but there's a lot of
You
people
could
that
have
just
brought
work
up
better.
any other example.
It's because you guys are white and you don't respect Joe Jackson. You know what I mean? But
Well,
Bo
he made
Jackson
his
beats
kid
his
white.
kids too.
He wanted to make his kid white.
Bo
Eventually,
Jackson beats his kids. That's
how,
Bill Largo,
how
man.
dare you? How
Bo
dare
Jackson beats his kids.
Find me that article.
Go
You-
Google it
You
right
do
now.
not besmirch Bo Jackson.
Bo
I
Jackson
feel very
beats
uncomfortable
his kids.
right now. You
Bo
talk about Bo
Jackson beats
Jackson.
his kids.
Bo, if you're listening, I know you're a fan.
Bo Jackson beats his
He
kids.
does not know what he
and he has
speaks
a
of.
crossbow and he scares them. I know. It's on
Well,
ESPN.
that I know he does that. Yeah.
That's on ESPN.
I want to do that shit.
But I mean, yeah, that's the thing. I guess it's always good to get out of your thing, get out of your comfort zone. I think all the comics, at least, to stay together. I think the Tampa scene should stay together. The strength in numbers.
Yeah,
you know
I think we all hit a growth period at the same time where a lot of guys just split, left town. But I think I still talk to a lot of the guys that left. You know, not you, but like.
But mentor the young ones, man. That's what you.
I'm not on the scene as much.
You should be on the scene, man.
I got a company to run that takes a lot of time, and I've got this, and I've got my house. So.
What about stand-up? To the side?
I'm doing the improv next week for a weekend, but you know I can't take the at-bats I want.
Do you think it's fair to take dates from comics that are working hard every night?
Who says I haven't worked hard? I still write.
Still write, yeah.
I write. I used to write for this a little bit more.
Do you think you should be in front of a stage and work the craft? Do you think so?
Yeah. This keeps me.
He's
fresh.
getting at something.
I don't know. Yeah, he's telling me I need to get up more, but
yeah,
Rope-a-dope in you.
I mean, it's like wrestling, man.
Two kids, man.
I get it. It's 2 kids. I get it's tough, but people look up to you, man. People want to see you in the scene.
Not
you know?
me.
No, they do. People who wrestle lost. No, go find them.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
Dude, there's a whole new crop of people. I have no idea who they are. Like it's weird. It's because I got out. I basically kind of the last year haven't gone up nearly as much. And
but people need your advice. You've been through it before.
What,
people
to
can
get to the bottom?
People can benefit. People can benefit from your advice and stand up. What to do inside the city, where to move around, and stuff like that. You know.
They'll hear. Yeah, sure. But I'm saying like.
You just don't want to do it.
No, I do. I actually really do. You have this weird guilt after a while, and this is with anything you really want to do. Like, stand-up really pushes this message hard from the older comics is, like, you got to get up every night. And for a while, it was really tough when I started going, okay, I really need to focus on family, work, and then this podcast started kind of bubbling up more and more. It kind of replaced a little bit of that creative area for me. But,
correct.
Dude, that's why I could never do it. Stand up. That's the unsung property of stand up comics is going out every night. Just leaving the house for me every night would be like, oh, fuck that. Like, I don't want to. I couldn't do it. Like,
well, the hardest thing getting to the gym is just getting to the gym. Once you get there, you're going to do something when you get there.
Sure.
It's a lot of hours, too. And it's when your wife already hates your guts, it's really tough. It's really tough to justify.
Shout out to Law's wife.
Yeah.
Mona.
Yeah.
We'll
you can start your own room. Your wife's a comic, too. You guys can start your own room.
Not much anymore. I mean, we both were like, what's more important kind of thing.
Breaks my heart, man.
It
breaks my
It doesn't mean I don't do it, and I still consider myself a comic, and I'm still writing. It's the thing of like, it's down to pure hours.
It reminds me of. I know we got it.
Dude, I used to bring my laptop to open mics. And
I remember
work while I was there. Like
it reminds me of wrestling, right? Are you a wrestling fan? A little bit.
Not anymore, but well, yeah. I mean,
so
yes.
You remember? Name the wrestlers that you remember growing up.
Oh, Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock. Who else we got? Mankind.
Correct.
All-time great.
Now, think about it like that, right? We got all these wrestlers, right? We got Stone Cold Steve Austin, Mankind. They did a lot for stand-up, right? I mean, they did a lot for wrestling. Mm-hmm. But now, they're not active anymore. Do you think it's fair for them to still come at WrestleMania and take spots from the guys that are grinding it out every night and stuff like that? Even though they've done a lot for the sport.
But if they showed up, it would be like, oh shit, The Rock is back, and they're doing it
That's what I'm saying.
You know,
we're talking about a hosting a weekend, which is not that prestigious.
Not that, but in this town, it's prestigious. In this town, a lot of people never played that theater before.
Yeah, but they also suck too. So there's a lot of guys that suck, and they don't know they suck.
But I think that I think there's some guys that need mentoring, and they would benefit more.
I did it. I was doing it. I've mentored my ears off. Fuck, this whole podcast is free advice no one asked for, as I like to say.
That's the new tagline.
Yeah, I mean, our slogan's pragmatic business advice with dick jokes, and then this. My whole thing is going around and going, hey, I think you should do this, this, and this, and I know it's annoying.
I took it. Remember you told me about the whale bit? I did it.
Yeah.
But I needed that. Yeah, that's what you did. You told me, like, you got to go full whale, man. You got to go full whale. I was like, oh, yeah, good point. I got to get into character.
I get it now.
Oh, yeah, because you're edging yourself.
Yeah, and that's what, but I mean, imagine
you
if
were about to come, and then you didn't, and then you're like, and then you hurt yourself.
What did Jerry Seinfeld say? He says comedy purifies itself. Purifies itself. So that's why when I moved, I was like, I don't have to say anything anymore because everyone out there is trying to, you know what I mean? But just, you want to take pride in where you started stand-up at, so I'm just proud of, like, Tampa Comics, and I just want the best for them.
All right, let's get you a hat.
You know what I mean?
TB
Get
hat.
that hat out.
All right, you guys.
All
Is this
right.
when you guys dropping this tonight?
We drop it.
Take that hat off, baby. Not ever.
Yeah, that's true.
Tuesdays, Wednesdays.
Can we do like a cops blur out on the New York?
Hey,
Yes.
free Joe Jackson, O.J. Simpson. We see you. Come on us out there. Free O.J.
Oh, we'll have to cut off that.
O.J. Simpson. He's free.
Shout out to Zartwell Pete. We're out.